I first joined the workforce at the age of 22, and I slowly climbed the ranks. And at 24, I found myself at executive level. And when I joined the team, I found a group of employees who seemed to have the same personality, and that confused me. People were lacking in participation. People would not share their thoughts and opinions. And I initially thought, okay, so this is the kind of team I've joined. This is the environment I'm in. However, after some time, I started to notice a few things as well. So for example, I started to notice that even with myself, we'd be sitting in meetings and there would be inappropriate conduct towards an employee, and we would have an inappropriate response towards that behavior. So for example, one employee would be berated in front of all of us. That employee would show blatant pain either through crying or leaving the meeting, and we would all continue as though nothing was happening. And I thought to myself, not only is there something wrong here, but I think it's normal. But then with time, new recruits started to come in. Vibrant people, intelligent people, people with experience. And I thought, okay, so now the team is changing. This is exciting. Now we will get collaboration. Now we will get input. Now we will have people engaging. But with time, their self-esteem also started to decline in the environment. With time, individuals were not participating, including the new recruits. And so I started noticing a few things, such as these new recruits and everyone else, once you depleted their self-esteem, you could do anything with those employees. Once you have depleted an employee's self-esteem, you can push them around, you can tell them what to do, as you wish. And that's when I realized that workplace bullying was actually never about the individual on the receiving end. Workplace bullying is never about you. My name is Wenzile Nogwandazwane, and I'm here to talk about the power that confidence plays in the workplace and why we all need to take it seriously. So, workplace bullying, or in HR terms, gross misconduct, because gross misconduct is the technical term that we can all use to talk about all types of inappropriate behavior in the workplace. We all know that it has become a widespread problem in our society. And there are consequences to this. There are consequences to workplace bullying. Things that we don't talk about. For example, an increase in burnout. We see more employees who are tired. We see more employees who are defeated. We see more employees who are docile and inactive. We see more employees whose health has now declined, right? Whether it's their mental health, whether it's their physical health. There are many consequences to workplace bullying. And so I wanted to find out why. Why would anyone want to break down their own team? What purpose does it serve to have people around you who don't believe in themselves? Why would you want anything like that? And the more I paid attention, the more I started to not only see the consequences of workplace bullying, like being defeated, like being docile, but I also started to notice other things too. Workplace bullying is a great incentive if you want to get things done. Workplace bullying, or inappropriate conduct, is strategic. Let me give you an example. If you want to achieve a goal and you want people to move out of your way, you're not going to get it done through compassion. You're not going to get it done through empathy. You're not going to get it done through kindness, through love, through sincerity, through caring about people and their thoughts and opinions. You're definitely not going to get that done. Instead, you need an incentive, a strong one. If you want to be inappropriate in the workplace, then you need to give people an incentive that will not only make them turn on themselves, but you'll also get them to believe that what you're doing is correct. Just think about it for a second. Think about it. Imagine if someone came to you and put your job at risk, and they said to you, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing? Can you please process these payments for me? Can you please process these forms for me? I know I'm putting your job at risk. I've missed so many steps, but if you don't mind, can you please help me?" What are the odds that you'll actually do that? The odds are very slim. So that's where fear, intimidation comes in as an incentive to move you out of the way. Now, usually, when the behavior starts, it's one person who is inappropriate. And when they are inappropriate towards many people, we are able to see that this person stands out and this person is inappropriate. And so we need the individuals to now be a team and work together so that they have a shared value. And their shared value will be fear and intimidation. All they need to do is repeat their conduct, repeat it over and over again to get the message out to all of us that in order to work here, you need to learn to be afraid. You need to learn to not use your own mind. You need to learn to not use your own judgment. With time, to protect ourselves, the survival mode that we're in, we will all start to do certain things like gossiping about one another. Because if I can gossip, I can get the attention off of me. And so the person who's inappropriate, the gross misconduct individual, the bully, will then get the attention on someone else. Another way to do it is to acquiesce, to sign off on documents without fact-checking, to give in to what they're asking you to do so that you don't have to put up with their behavior towards you. And then you find in other instances, you have spirited individuals who understand that an injustice is happening to them, and they are more likely to fight. They will talk back or be insubordinate, and they'll say that something is wrong. I refuse to do this. But that individual is also running a different kind of risk. And so with time, our environment has become fertile because we have established a status quo. And everyone who comes in after that will fall in line because we've built a reputation in the environment and we all know what that is. There is no point in thinking here. There's no point in trying here. You see, what workplace bullying does is that it teaches us to not stand out, to not speak out, to not be bold, to not be yourself, to not be different. Because the moment you do that, the moment you're capable of being brave, the moment you're capable of being bold, the moment you're capable of being yourself, the more likely you are to use your own judgment and say, this doesn't make sense. And who wants that? And so once that is in place, you have 2 or 3 against 100 or 150. But it's effective now because we've all fallen in line. And so with time, you also start to notice a few things. We all know about this. We all do it from time to time. Ambitious people who come in and join the team are now considered naive, are now considered stupid, because they don't know where we are. You know how we talk. Oh, that person just wants to show off when they're doing their job. That person does not understand what environment we're in when they're doing their job. That's how we then start to talk, because it has become so systematic that we also now believe the environment we're in. We actually now believe that the inappropriate environment is now appropriate because it is so well established. And over time, we're losing ourselves and we're incapable of protecting policies, we're incapable of protecting resources, we're incapable of protecting resources such as finances. Because who's protecting that? If you are docile, if you are defeated, if you are burnt out, if you would rather acquiesce or gossip and shift blame, who's protecting those things? And who's protecting the people in the environment? Because the only way you can protect the people in the environment is to be bold as well and say, I will not do this. And the moment you start challenging is the moment you now stand out. And remember, I said, workplace bullying encourages us to not stand out, to not speak out, and to not be different, or in other words, to not be yourself. A fertile environment with a well-established reputation. So what do we do? How can we protect people in the workplace? How can we protect the resources, the financial resources that people care about so much? People are always talking about profits, saving money, saving this, that, the petrol. But who is saving those things, those resources, if people are not protecting even the policies that are established for those resources? And who's protecting the people who are put in place to protect those policies? What do we do as employers and as teammates? This is where confidence comes in. One of my favorite values to have in the workplace, a value that is underrated. So, should employers hire confident people? Should employers hire bold people? Should employers hire people who are outspoken, people who know who they are, people who can challenge the status quo? Is that what we should be doing? If you recall earlier on, I said when I joined the workforce, I found a defeated team. And I saw that it was appropriate to be inappropriate. However, I also noted that new recruits, intelligent people, vibrant people, were joining the team and eventually losing themselves, their confidence, their self-esteem, and it became easier to push them around once they had lost that. So hiring confident people is not necessarily the way to go. I remember one employee came to my office. He was a high-flying individual, one of many. But he stood out to me the most because he articulated his emotions. He came to my office, I'll never forget. We were standing by the printer, and I had to give him documentation to release him from acting in a senior position. He had done his part, and once he had found his voice, he was now being pushed out. And he said to me, Wenzi, who am I? What am I? And I didn't know what to say to him, because I actually understood what was happening, but I didn't know if he would understand me if I tried to articulate it to him. That now that you're able to speak up and defend yourself, you are now threatening. Your intelligence was to serve a purpose. You've done enough now. So, hiring confident people, hiring intelligent people, hiring bold people, outspoken people, people who know who they are, is not the only solution. What we need to start doing as employers is we need to start encouraging confidence amongst all of us. When I spoke earlier on, I said, initially, it takes one bully. But after some time, because we're all tired, it'll go from 1 to 2 to 3. And now they have a common value amongst themselves. So now we need to encourage confidence amongst team members. That's the change that we need. Gone are the days where being confident and being assertive was only something that was associated with managers, supervisors, CEOs, directors. That mindset taught us unwittingly that once you are someone who is in a position of power, you are always right. Slowly coaching us into being silent and not speaking up when we're supposed to. And at times it worked. But in the direction that we're headed in now, we can't let just one individual have all the confidence. So, as employers, we need to encourage an environment where people can be themselves. Because differences encourage us to open up and listen. And when we listen, we're not just listening to challenge the person, but we need to challenge thoughts and ideas. Because once we're challenging the person, we're actually trying to move the person out of the way, not the idea. We're signaling that the person is wrong, not the idea. So as employers, we need an environment where people are encouraged to speak up, where they will speak and they will not be afraid to speak. And by so doing, we're encouraging and making it normal that if I disagree with what you're asking me to do right now, it's not just the individual who's behaving this way, the outlier, but that it is a norm in our environment. I disagree with the way that you're conducting yourself. I disagree with what you're asking me to do. I disagree with the processes that you're asking me to override. And I should feel safe to do so. This is how we protect each other. This is how we protect policies. This is how we protect people. This is how we protect finances. Once there are more people who are confident. Once we have 2 or more people with a shared value that is positive, then they begin to stand out. Then it becomes not just, oh, we have a bold such and such, a bold supervisor, but it becomes we have a bold department, we have a strong department, and with time we have a strong company. And over time, we will start to see a difference even in each other. Because we will no longer have to work in an environment where we are now protecting ourselves as individuals, where doing your job is being ambitious or naive. And once you safeguard a person and their well-being, you are giving them the permission to try and do better, either for the next day or even for that next position, because now we are stronger. I believe in myself more and I will try harder. I think I can, because the environment is giving me permission to believe in myself. And once you have people like that in your environment, you're also encouraging collaboration and innovation. And who doesn't want a team like that? And slowly, maybe, just maybe I'm an idealist, but who we are will then trickle over into our homes. We're not coming back home burnt out. We're not coming back home tired. We're not coming back home detached and unable to interact with our children. We're not coming back home with noise from this morning that we're trying to block out. And at worst, taking it out on the next person. If we instill confidence in one another, then we will see stronger teams, We'll see stronger people. We'll see people with a shared value, where our resources are protected, our well-being is protected, and more importantly, we as a society are now looking at things for what they are, that the behavior that we're tolerating is inappropriate, and we move from a survival mindset into a mindset where we're confident enough to say, this is inappropriate, I will not do this, and it's more than just one person. Thank you.